Hey, what's up, everybody? So, in today's video, I'd actually like to delve a little bit more into a topic of debate, something that pretty much was up for discussion ever since the release of Dauntless Awakening. You see, the concept that I'll be delving into revolves around weapon swapping, and whether or not weapon swapping was actually a good addition to Dauntless as a whole. I've been reading quite a bit of reviews, talking to quite a bit of people from the casual side, the middle, as well as the competitive, as to how they perceive the general idea of weapon swapping. And to be completely honest, I have seen both the negative, the positive, and the middle. Not going to lie, as I've continued reading reviews, listening to people, I've found myself understanding both extreme spectrums, whether it be extremely negative, extremely positive, or generally leaning towards both. Interestingly enough, I find myself in the middle ground. I'm not entirely sure of where I plan or would like to lean on. Mostly specifically because, well, I'm not entirely sure on what the future holds. But to be completely honest, I find listening and looking at and reading different perspectives very interesting and definitely showcases a lot of insight as to how I could see this. I'd love to see your guys' thoughts in general after the video ends, specifically in the comments section if you guys are down to share. But pretty much in this video, I would like to just go through my perception of the negatives and positives in regard to weapon swapping. And maybe being able to see my perspective could give you guys a better idea of how you should formulate yours or something, or maybe get a little bit of insight from. But pretty much, I'll just go through my experience so far and explain it contextually. So, pretty much upon starting Dauntless, Awakening, and delving into training grounds and trying out the weapon swapping, it felt jarring. What I'm going to go down specifically are the negatives first. And I won't lie, when I felt like I didn't have my original strikers build, I didn't have my original repeaters build, all the builds I worked so hard to essentially theory craft, build craft, and set in stone as my iconic ones, it felt pretty bad. And seeing everything look so new and look so different and unique really felt like something so integral to me was taken away. And as I attempted to swap and swap, especially for the first time, it didn't feel effective and it felt kind of rough. More so on the unoptimized side. And to be completely honest, I wasn't sure how to make of it. But all I knew was that, well, for now, I felt like I just wanted to stick with a weapon that I loved and mained, and that was strikers. And as I continued doing hunts with them, it made me perceive it in a way where it felt like there was no reason to switch. I could legitimately just use strikers the entire time and just have a great bang in time, just hunting behemoths and doing whatever I wanted to do. And on top of it, it felt like, well, the split was jarring as we only had enough, or veteran players only had enough to close to max out one weapon. So the incentive to switch between two, especially when going into higher hunts, was close to none. And to be completely honest, I didn't fully understand the weapon swapping, but at the same time, I couldn't help but see the negatives in it. It was blatant, and it was purely evident as to why it wasn't exactly in the best of state. And on top of it, there were some that just felt off. And I know there's different types of damage now, and I know there's different approaches towards the variety and uniqueness towards how weapons work, but at the same time, it was just too off, if that makes sense. I decided to give it another shot a few days later. Go at it in an open mind as much as I could, and really try to integrate myself in the weapon swapping. And to be completely honest, on that day I started to do more weapon swapping techniques, I started to see the allure of it. And this is where we kind of segue into the positives. When I tried weapon swapping and I actually tried to really think about the different ways I could go about things, I started to understand the flow of combat, the fluidity of it, how it could work, especially when it comes to understanding behemoth patterns at a high level. But it's like it was very interesting as I kept using the combos that give the cool, unique transition damage animation towards different weapons, and I thought each one felt pretty good. It didn't seem like they were dishing out worthless damage. It was relatively in the middle in terms of overall damage output, but it was still somewhat respectable. You could use it to potentially like weaken a part or reposition even, because some of them gave you actual distance coverage when it came to transition animations, and I thought it was very interesting. And considering weapons are focused to continuously be further developed and created as very unique compared to everything else, especially if they're under the same weapon category like a hammer, the focus is to make each one feel different. So I have a feeling that they're probably going to create new things in regard to either the weapon paths, the specials, the overall feel of the weapon, and most likely even the transition animations, the transition combos. And I thought, I see. The positives are there. There are some unoptimized aspects, but at the same time, the positives are there, and it felt more like, yeah, this is building towards future stability and sustainability, longevity and prominence in regard to getting people more into the idea of optimizing their execution in theorycraft. And I really thought, wow, that's very interesting because originally I had a very negative outlook. But I still can't not see the negatives, if that makes sense. I see the positives now and I see the negatives and I'm in the middle. Because on one hand, the negatives are evident and they're pretty much everywhere. And on top of that, it's like we don't know if they're actually going to go through with the true uniqueness that they plan on saying or that they claimed. And with the whole positives, it's like if they do go down the way of which they claimed, in regard to the uniqueness and the creativity of the weapons, it could be a phenomenal thing. But we just don't know until we see it in the future. But at the same time, right now, it's interesting, cool, and at the same time, worrying. I'm not sure what the future holds for this game. But to be completely honest, I'm very happy with how well the devs treated the communication and transparency. That right now is the big part that's keeping me somewhat hopeful and being as realistic and open minded as I possibly can be, especially to the various implementations they brought forward with Awakening. But honestly, once again, I'd love to see what you guys think. See what different perspectives and angles you guys may have towards weapon swapping, and even theorycraft, buildcraft, execution, and overall innovation in the end. Will it lead to more of that, you think? Or do you think, well, this is overall a heavy detriment to the game and its future? Would love to hear it. But once again, guys, thank you so much for taking the time, watching my video, and listening. And if you did like it, please like and subscribe. It would really help me out in the future. And, if you enjoy the video, well, I'll definitely be making more. But anyways, guys, thank you so much once again, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Take care. Have a great night. Peace out.